We have special guest with us right now. It's Peter Schiff. He's an investment broker, author, and financial commentator who makes frequent appearances as a guest on CNBC, Fox Business Channel, and Bloomberg Television. He also hosts the Peter Schiff Show on the radio. Schiff is also the CEO and chief global strategist of Euro Pacific Capital Inc. and CEO of Euro Pacific Precious Metals. Peter, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jimmy, thanks for having me on. Just a couple of notes. First of all, Euro Pacific Precious Metals, years ago, the name was changed to Schiff Gold. And so that's the new name of that company. And it's now owned by a company called Gold Money, but I do work very closely with them. And so for people who want to buy gold and silver, that's the best place to do it. Also, though, I'm no longer a guest on CNBC or Bloomberg. Bloomberg banned me over 10 years ago. I used to do Bloomberg all the time. I used to even guest host. But I got too many predictions right for Bloomberg, so they stopped having me on. CNBC banned me probably for the same reason, maybe about, 4 years ago. So they had me on a little bit longer, but then eventually decided that they didn't want the truth being spoken on their network. So I still do Fox Business, though, Fox News. In fact, I was on Fox News last night with Tucker Carlson. And I do a lot of other international shows, and I do, of course, a lot of podcasts. But the mainstream media, by and large, doesn't have me on. I used to go on CNN, MSNBC. There are a lot of other networks that used to invite me on that no longer invite me.
Well, I became aware. I mean, I've known about you. I've seen you on all those shows, right? I watch those shows sometimes. Not that I know anything about investing or money or anything, which I don't. But I did see a video of you back in, I think in 2004, maybe it was 2006. But you.
Well, the weekend is dying down. I thought I'd talk to you guys here on my channel, as it were, get a few things off my chest. As usual, I put up a short little poll because I want to see who's on my subscriber list. If you are subscribed, and you can go to my community section on my channel, please participate in my poll so I have some idea who I'm talking to. If you're not subscribed, please do so. I welcome all comments, and at this point, I pretty much respond to everyone if you want an open dialogue. One of the things about the internet that I'm disappointed in, because I'm very active on Twitter now, because it's hard to be active on Facebook politically for reasons I won't get into here, but I'm reaching out and trying to learn from people, maybe have people learn from me, trying to get certain questions answered in a functional way, in a utilitarian way, you might say. Like, what's it to us? How can we use information to better our lives and work towards a better future? And I have to say, it's pretty hard to do that. Like, every time I ask a question on Twitter, like 99% of the time, I don't get a productive answer. And these are good faith questions I'm asking. And so I thought here at the end of the weekend that I would talk about that and welcome more people to my channel. And hopefully as time goes on, I'll be able to have better technology. But I think a lot of that is up to you guys. I want to get the ball rolling again on this channel and have it expand. And for the foreseeable future, I'll be on this level of technology. One of the things that struck me right now is the fact that we're headed towards a recession, which basically means the economy is going to tank. And the left isn't blameless in that regard. In the last few videos, I've been talking exclusively about the left and not the right. So I should explain why. I think because the ship has sailed on the right wing. It's very, very difficult to talk to conservatives, to right-wingers. I still do talk to them in person and online. And it's very difficult. I'll probably do a video on that. But it's nearly impossible. It's also very difficult talking to liberals and talking to Democrats. But at least there's a little sliver, small, but at least there's a small sliver of chance of getting some agreement and learning something from that exchange. But it's getting increasingly difficult because both parties both political parties are mirroring each other. And the left, as it were, in the United States, here I'm using a broad definition of left because there's no real left wing in the US. So whenever you say the left, unless you mean like the true ideological left wing, which comes down to socialism, unless you specifically mean that, what you should be talking about is the liberal wing of the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party itself, maybe, and some of the elements that would ordinarily vote for the Democratic Party if the Democratic Party was halfway functional. The Democratic Party has pissed a lot of people off, basically, and so they don't vote on a consistent basis. They don't participate in the political process. So that's important to know. All of that, all of those categories, you might call the left for purposes of this analysis. The left in the United States not only has failed to do anything to roll back neoliberal capitalism, but more, if you don't know what that is, Reaganomics, or the rich getting richer, or the rich deregulating the economy and rigging the rules for their own benefit, however you want to phrase it. They sometimes participate in the demise of the working class. So, for example, a big member of the left, or who's supposed to be a member of the left, is Jimmy Dore. So he does a video platforming Mr. Schiff, who is what you might call a gold bug. He's basically, he's a conservative, he's a right-winger, he's a libertarian. I don't really draw big distinctions between American libertarianism and the right wing. I think they're the same thing. But ideologically, this is important to note about Peter Schiff, ideologically, his position is to the right, and he believes in the supremacy of property, of private property, and the supremacy of buying power of the people who have money. And the main reason he wants to shrink the economy, he wants to cut government spending, and he wants to reduce the power of the dollar and tie it to gold, is because he who makes the gold makes the rules. In point of fact, he's a neo-feudalist, because if you have access to power, money, and the buying power of each individual dollar goes up if it's backed by gold, the individuals who already have the most, who don't borrow, who don't rely on the credit system, but have vast amounts of wealth or land, their buying power is going to go through the roof, and everyone else's buying power is going to go down. That's not to say wealth will expand, because the economy and wealth will actually contract, and you'll have deflation. But that will leave the people who are well situated holding all the marbles. That's why he's a neo-feudalist. When Jimmy Dore platforms someone like that, that is a stab in the back of the worker. He is stabbing the American worker in the back. Not only does Schiff contradict good analysts that Jimmy Dore has on his show, but I mean, he's a right-wing guy, and his policy ideas, which is to cut spending on people, cut social spending, shrink the size of government, would hurt ordinary individuals, ordinary working class people, probably even hurt the management class, certainly hurt everyone from the petty bourgeoisie on down, especially the poor. And there are all kinds of reasons I'm not going to get into here why he himself, Peter Schiff isn't a guy who even the capitalists like, because capitalism as it really works is incompatible with libertarian thought. And what I mean by libertarian, again, is the American libertarian. Individuals who want to shrink the size of government, who want to connect the dollar to gold, who believe in individual rights, only individual rights of the moneyed classes, people who believe in private tyranny, private corporate tyranny. Those individuals should not be platformed by anyone on the left, and should be laughed at by people on the left, not platformed. So, there's a certain point where you have reasonable disagreement with somebody and unreasonable disagreement with someone. And Jimmy Dore, he doesn't know me from Adam, but the idea that Jimmy Dore is going, by propping up somebody like Peter Schiff, you're not having a reasonable disagreement. You're not having a reasonable discussion or a dialogue with the left. You're spreading anti-left ideas and neo-feudalist ideas that not even most capitalists can accept. It's important to note that. So it's important. And if he's part of the left and he's spreading that message, then a good deal of the left is going to be led astray. And this is kind of like what's going on. Huge sections of the left are involved in projects that are not only a waste of time, but actually hurt the working class. That's one thing I wanted to get off my chest. I mean, that's an obvious example of Dore, but there are others, the Jackson Hinkles of this world, and the Stalinists, and people like that who are going off the deep end. And this is a problem because the longer we delay on doing something for the American worker, the more likely there is to be some really negative things coming out from both the right and the left. And it's because of the failure of Bernie Sanders to not just be elected, but to actually deliver in any way. I mean, it's not just a question of him not winning the nomination and not becoming president. Overall, the revolution that he started with has gone nowhere. It hasn't delivered, and the Democrats have only delivered a very small fraction of what they were supposed to deliver. People are suffering. People are suffering, and things are getting so far out of whack that the polls actually show that more people trust the Republicans on the economy. That's a little nuts, but the reality is that the more the elites deny a role for socialism, the worse the situation is going to get, because people are going to get more desperate. And more people who are going to get desperate are going to be getting involved in the political world of polemics, whatever, and they're not going to be necessarily educated. They're not going to know their ass from a hole in the ground, and they might listen to people like Peter Schiff. They might start reading old Lyndon LaRouche pamphlets. I don't know. And it's a serious thing. People will turn to authoritarianism. This is already happening. So I thought I would note that because I think it explains a little bit of why I'm cool on Jimmy Dore and why I don't really there was a point in time when I listened to him and I watched him because I think that some of what he has to say is true, but the appeal is based on the fact that Democrats have failed. I mean, let's be honest here. That's what Demexit's about. It's the fact that the Democrats haven't delivered. So if you're a Democrat and you're thinking, why is Jimmy Dore popular? It's because of you. Take some responsibility. Your party is a failure. That's what's giving power to these people. And if you want Jimmy Dore to go away, or Jackson Hinkle, or Caleb Maupin, or anybody, these authoritarians, anarcho-capitalists, Democratic Party has to step up.